Okay, ladies and gents, what's going on? Hey, Tony Broad here. Thanks for tuning in. So I gave you a couple days. If you have not already seen Mortal Kombat, you need to. You are mad if you have not yet. Let me first start off by saying this, because this is kind of I've read a couple reviews and listened to a couple reaction videos and stuff. Let's understand what Mortal Kombat is. So Mortal Kombat is a video game, and they're converting it to a movie. So the idea of having the greatest movie of all time based off a video game is probably pretty far-fetched. It's not going to happen. So I think the expectation is to be like this great thing, just like the game was. I mean, the game was awesome, right? Every single one, from everything they've done from when I was a kid all the way up until recent years, and even the creators did something with Injustice with DC, and those games were fantastic. So just the idea of that game is dope, and to see it come to the screen is going to be tough either way. So I think the criticism is pretty heavy considering it's a video game. I mean, there's not a whole lot of great movies that are, adapted from video games, like Tomb Raider and all those. I think Tom Holland's doing Uncharted. That might be good. Going into this thing, I think the expectations were pretty high for some people, and I actually enjoyed the ones in the 90s. The first Mortal Kombat, I think it was 95. I enjoyed it. I thought it was decent, for the time, right? Like, we didn't know everything we know now, naturally, with all the tech and CGI and all that, so it was kind of tough to do things, but I think they did a good job considering. That said, this new movie is fucking awesome. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan for a couple reasons. Besides, I'll take away the Mortal Kombat geekiness that I have inside, but just overall, I thought they did a really good job. Spoilers ahead. I thought they did a really good job creating the competition. Like in the 90s, or how you see it, play out, you don't really see it play out in the video games. There's no like story build up. It's just you pick a character and you go fight, right? So they're starting from scratch. And I thought they did a great job starting from scratch, that, there's these different realms and these different universes, and they have to battle each other, and they use a tattoo to mark each person. And every time you kill somebody, that person that kills gets the marking and kind of moves on to the tournament. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Not a whole lot of backstory to it. I don't give a shit, because I get it. It's like everyone busts chops about comic book movies, like, Batman vs. Superman, probably the best example in recent years, that there was no backstory built to the characters. But, like, we already know what time it is, right? We know this is Mortal Kombat. We want to get to the action. And I think they did a good job with that. Even from the first scene, the first 7 minutes, you see me do that review. I'll leave the link below, where I watched the first 7 minutes of the film, and it was great. I mean, it cuts right into the action, right into the gore. Yeah, there's not a lot of story build up for each character, but who gives a shit? Like, are we here for origin stories, or are we here to see some fatalities? It's the latter. We want to see some fucking fatalities. And you get that with this movie. You get immediately from the get, I feel like they did this on purpose, but even just the intro music, literally when it first came on, it's this very kind of like, it feels like it's about to charge up into like a 90s theme song, and then it kind of calms down and it goes into like the babbling brook, and then it's this calming music. And this is where you cut into the scene where Scorpion and Sub-Zero, kind of their origin story, begins. And it's just beautiful how it's shot, and visually, just the first couple minutes is really get you hooked. I mean, it gets you in it as a movie. And I think they did that on purpose, where they almost want you to think it's a video game movie, and you're going to get the feel for the video game movie. But then it kind of, transitions into this beautiful cinematic opening that really gets you hooked, and you forget a second that it's Mortal Kombat, which is kind of cool, until it gets to the blood and the gore and the fight scenes just in the first 3-4 minutes of the movie. After that it gets aggressive and it gets cool. Overall, I just think the opening itself got me really interested. Weeks ago when I saw it and I posted it, and then afterwards, after that opening, that first 7 minutes, so like 10 minutes in, again, I'm hooked. Then you get introduced to a couple characters here and there throughout the movie, which I really liked. Is they'll give you kind of little seeds, like when Jax is driving. Spoiler alert: when Jax driving the SUV, he mentioned Sonya Blade. That's really all I need. I just need a little taste. And the only thing I didn't really like too much is there wasn't a lot of build up kind of in that moment. Like this movie was an hour and 50 minutes. This could have been a 3-hour movie, I feel like, just to kind of begin the competition, because they went a little bit into Outworld, which is where the villains are. And that was pretty cool, but I feel like there could have been a little bit more emphasis on that. I want to understand the tournament a little bit more, how that started. More flashbacks would have been cool, but I mean, overall, for an hour and 50 minutes, I feel like they did a good job building up the characters. I don't need 30 minutes of each character. And I think throughout the movie, you're going to realize that you want to get to the action first, right? And you're going to get a lot of good characters out of this. If you're a Mortal Kombat fan, or even if you're familiar with it, I think you'll get a kick out of this. It's a lot of fun. It's a really fun movie. With that said, though, I do have a couple criticisms. Not surprisingly, the acting was shit. I mean, for some reason, you can't have a lot of fight scenes and, that Japanese, Chinese culture, kind of like the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. If you watch that movie, the acting's not good, but the action is awesome. And I feel like that's what they went with here, because they wanted more of the martial arts and the fight scenes, and they wanted people to have the ability to do the stunts versus having great acting. And I don't know if that's a bad thing, because I'm okay with that. Some of the, quote unquote cheesiest or shitty acting jobs have some of the best fight sequences, and I'm totally okay with that. I'm not biased to one or the other. If I had to pick between, something like this, a movie like this, Mortal Kombat, or like a superhero movie, if I had to pick, I would prefer great action scenes and shitty acting. I'm totally okay with that. I wish they could figure it out and do both, but we see time and time again, even the 90s, right, the Mortal Kombat, the fight scenes were okay for its time, but yeah, the acting was just not good. Each character, I feel like they did a much better job. So again, my criticism is acting was subpar. I could go without a couple scenes because it was kind of like, really? And with that said, the writing was okay. I would give it like a C, the writing. There was a lot of scenes in there that they kind of threw the word fuck in because it's rated R. And obviously it's rated R for all the gore that's in it. But I feel like because it's rated R, they threw the word fuck and goddamn, and they like tried too hard to curse and like be raunchy and like be like Deadpool style. You know what I mean? The only person that it made sense for was Kano. And if you've seen the movie, Kano was the man. He was the fucking best character. He's always awesome. Like if you play him in the games, he's just a dick, right? He's like a mercenary. He's kind of like a Cable. If you follow Marvel, he's kind of like that, but he's dirtier, he's raunchier, he's disgusting, he's a pervert. Him and Sonya Blade's interaction was great. Sonya Blade definitely needs to do some acting before the sequel, just kind of get a couple more lines under her belt. But I think that's the trade-off, right? Is you just can't have everything, which I'm totally okay with. But I bring up Kano because Kano was such a great character and he's so dirty. So because there was so much cursing and kind of weird moments that they threw in the word fuck and stuff, when he cursed, it wasn't that big of a deal. But he, in my opinion, should have been like setting the bar the highest. But I feel like everyone was kind of like saying fuck and shit and it was just too, I don't know, the writing could have been a lot better in my opinion. So hopefully they fix that. The only other character criticism I would have is Liu Kang. He's probably one of the most badass characters. Him and Raiden, I think, are probably my favorite. Liu Kang was a bit of a pussy in this. And I don't know if that's maybe like his origin and they're like gonna slowly kind of build him up. But I looked at him like the leader. Like that's one thing they did a good job in the '90s movies was Liu Kang was kind of like the leader, bringing them all together, and this guy was kind of like, he looked like 95 pounds, shredded, great martial artist he looked like, but I don't know. I feel like they could have probably spent a little bit more time rounding him off as like as a leader, because he's badass, right? He's the man, Liu Kang is. And then Raiden, he was awesome in this, much better than Oh Boy in the '90s. But Raiden was awesome because he was a bit of a dick, and he's a lord, right? He's Lord Raiden, so I think that was fitting. I think they did a good job with that because he's supposed to be an asshole. He's like trying to bring these people together to battle, and he's got hundreds of years of fighting under his belt, so he's a little jagged, he's a little rough. So I'm digging that. But other than that, I thought overall the characters were great, and I think they did a good job picking them out. When you watch the trailer, you're like, where's this character? Where's that character? Well, what they do a really good job of, I think, is as they're going through the movie, they're having these battles, right, in these different levels, right? If you played the game, you have like the icy warehouse, and you have the outer world where the cliffs are. Like, you have all these different worlds, and they introduce one-on-one fights, and it makes you feel like you're part of the video game. They do it in a way that's very like fluid throughout the whole movie. So you're seeing a dope-ass one-on-one fight probably like every 15 minutes. So it's pretty cool. And then, of course, the ending towards the climax of the movie, you get this massive battle, and they're all one-on-one, but with each character, that's kind of built up this animosity throughout the whole movie. So it was a lot of fun to see that kind of come to the end. And then, again, spoiler alert, but at the end of the movie, they did a really cool job setting up sequels. So I'm hoping that they will carry on this for at least a couple movies. I like to see 2 or 3, but I like to see more of like a multiverse style, to where maybe we can see 2 or 3 of these movies, and then maybe we do some spinoffs if something goes well. Maybe HBOMax does like a series, almost like a Luke Cage or Daredevil type of series that Netflix did. But Luke Cage sucked. Daredevil was dope, but like something like that, I think I'd like to see, so that way we can get more like little micro fight scenes and kind of like a mini series of each character, like a Liu Kang or Johnny Cage, or I think that would be cool to kind of branch off, because they can go a lot of different routes with this thing. But overall, I would say you definitely need to see it if you're a Mortal Kombat fan. If you're not a Mortal Kombat fan, I don't know if you'll like it, only because the acting is just to the point to where you hear it a couple times and you're like, all right, you didn't need to say that, or you didn't need to do that. It was pointless. So if you're not a fan, you're not going to stick through it, because when you're watching it for the fatalities, the endings, the blood, the gore, and they did a fucking awesome job with that. Spot on. There's even, I think it was IGN that put up a video where it compared the video game fatalities to the movie. So I'll put that in the link below as well, so you could check that out. But they did a really cool job of making it just like the video game. So overall, definitely a must-watch, and it's just another reason to have HBOMax so you can watch this thing. So hopefully you guys watch it. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Leave a comment below. I'd love to know what you guys think. But again, HBOMax, keep these coming, because so far, I'm digging what you're putting down. Until next time, peace.